Hey there, and welcome to Otaku Flashback TV, the ultimate spot for all things nostalgic, emotional, and anime-filled. If you're a fan of heartfelt stories that blend real-life struggles with charming slice-of-life moments, then you've come to the right place. Today's video is a special one. We're bringing you a beautiful and moving tale about two inseparable brothers who face tragedy but find hope and healing in the most unexpected of places, a high school daycare center. With a cast of quirky kids, dedicated teachers, and plenty of emotional twists and turns, this story is packed with warmth, growth, and those touching moments that stick with you long after the credits roll. So grab your favorite snacks, get comfy, and join us as we relive this anime gem from start to finish. Whether you're here for the feels, the laughs, or the nostalgia, you're in for a treat. This is Otaku Flashback TV, where every anime has a memory, and every memory deserves a spotlight. Ryuichi and Kotarou are two devoted siblings who became orphans when their parents perished in an aviation disaster, so the principal of an academy who had similarly lost her loved ones in the identical incident decides to shelter them. However, her goal isn't for them to become her replacement family, but rather to employ Ryuichi as the institution's childcare worker, since he's gained experience caring for his sibling from early childhood. During their introduction, she clarifies to Ryuichi that they weren't brought to be her replacement children and conducts a quick evaluation of his nurturing skills once she feels confident. She instructs her aide named Siwa to guide the siblings to the academy's nursery facility. Siwa explains to Ryuichi that he's been given the responsibility of supervising the offspring of the institution's staff members and that the childcare organization was established to support the female educators there. But because of limited participants and inadequate resources, it's been understaffed. So the principal recruited Ryuichi and Kotarou to assist in launching the program. Upon entering, they encounter someone called Uziya, who serves as the sole nursery personnel worker. He greets Ryuichi and Kotarou warmly and presents them to the remaining youngsters who are named Taka, Kirin, Takuma, Kazuma, and Midori. During evening, the educators come to collect their offspring, but Taka remains the only child still awaiting pickup. Ryuichi anticipates his mother's arrival, but feels shocked when his sibling comes to fetch him instead. Taka declines to depart and desires to continue playing with Ryuichi longer, so his elder sibling delivers a gentle, brotherly tap on his head and escorts him home. After their exit, Ryuichi attends to Kotarou, who's remained silent throughout the day. He becomes alarmed when discovering he's developed a severe fever, then hurries outside following Taka's elder sibling and requests if he'll transport him to the closest medical facility. He consents to assist immediately and guides him along the route. The physician informs Ryuichi that the fever was likely triggered by anxiety from environmental adjustment. While stepping outside for fresh air, he considers contacting his parents, but then recalls that they've passed away. He begins weeping as anyone would in his situation, when suddenly the principal discovers him and provides comfort. She reflects on the memorial service for all aviation disaster victims, noting that the only individuals not weeping were the boys and herself. She gently assures him that he isn't alone and doesn't need to remain strong entirely by himself. After her departure, Ryuichi returns inside to retrieve Kotarou, who's feeling significantly improved, so they return home. The subsequent morning, the principal commands Ryuichi to rise immediately, despite it being 5 a.m., and informs them breakfast and lunch have been prepared. She also provided Ryuichi with a brand new uniform, which fills him with joy and pride to obtain. While traveling to class, he observes people staring at him oddly and laughing. He encounters Kamatani and inquires if something appears strange about him. He instructs him to turn around, and it's revealed all the youngsters from the nursery had been trailing him. A student named Maria scolds Ryuichi regarding the children, so he attempts his best to gather them quickly and return them to the nursery. Maria represents the highest achieving pupil in the advanced program and considers her academics her primary focus. She delivers Taka's meal to the nursery, explaining that Miss Kamatani requested her to bring it since her child forgot it. Usia uses this opportunity to his advantage and pretends illness, asking Maria to substitute for him. Initially, the youngsters fear Maria due to the hallway situation. She opens up and begins crying, stating that academics are her only strength, and the more intensely she studies, the more isolated she feels. The children approach to comfort her, and they all weep together. Later, Ryuichi asks Kyouro if he desires to visit the zoo. However, the children overhear, and before he realizes it, they're all pleading with him to go. Usia advises him that he should bring everyone, and he'll accompany them as well, since he can earn payment for weekend work. Ryuichi receives authorization from the principal for the zoo excursion, and even extends an invitation to her, but she predictably refuses the invitation. Siwa had prepared meals for all the youngsters and even included extra portions for the parents. Kamatani apologizes for leaving Taka alone, but he cannot remain as he has training and their mother is occupied. The youngsters enjoy exploring and observing all the different creatures at the zoo, but when they're preparing to leave, Taka believes he has spotted his elder sibling and begins following him. After pursuing the man, Taka discovers it wasn't his sibling, and he becomes lost. Taka panics and cries like any youngster his age would, and calls out for his sibling. Fortunately, Kamatani appears, and although Taka attempts to conceal it, he's overjoyed to see him. Valentine's Day arrives, and the boys discuss whether they'll receive chocolates or not, and the girls discuss whom they would give them to. The girls mention a boy from the advanced program they have a crush on named Yogi and attempt to give him their chocolates. However, Maria becomes upset and reminds the girls that it's against academic regulations to distribute chocolates on this day. Yogi agrees with Maria and instructs the girls to wait until after classes. He then questions Maria about the Babysitter organization and states that he's interested in joining it because he adores small children. Maria snaps at Yogi and instructs him to speak to them directly. So Yogi locates Maria and asks if he can join. Confused, as nobody ever desires to join the Babysitter organization, he happily welcomes Yogi into the group. Ryuichi takes a mental note when he observes Yogi compliment all the children individually, strangely trying hard to win their favor. Meanwhile, Maria overhears two pupils say that Yogi looks at the children in a very peculiar way. So she rushes to the nursery and finds Yogi with a nosebleed. Suddenly, Yogi's friend named Nezukan takes him away since it wouldn't be appropriate if he joins the organization. The youngsters begin asking Maria for chocolates, but she tells them no and that it's prohibited on this day, so they all burst into tears. But just moments later, she tells them that if they can wait until tomorrow, she'll bring them the most delicious chocolates she can, which makes them happy. While walking home, Ryuichi gives Maria some chocolates and a compliment, which makes her blush. The next morning, Ryuichi has physical education. The boys in his group complained about having gym first period and that it's too cold. All of a sudden, Yusei arrives with the children, and Ryuichi's classmates begin chasing them around the playground so that they can use them as heat sources to warm themselves up. Ryuichi sees Takuma being collected by a man dressed suspiciously, but it turns out that he's the father of Takuma and Kazuma. He explains that he was dressed like that because he's famous and didn't want to be recognized. He was hoping to spend his first day off in 6 months with his offspring, but when he picks up Kazuma, he cries. After numerous attempts of trying to play with them, he gives up and leaves. While exiting the academy, he gets recognized and surrounded with children begging for his autograph and a picture, but luckily his wife shows up and rescues him. She explains to him that it may be her fault that Kazuma is afraid of him because they were watching a film where he acted as a kidnapper. He turns around to find Kazuma and Takuma. They call him Papa and ask him to play with them, which filled him with joy. The next morning, Ryuichi starts his first day of high school, and the organizations began to look for new members, but Ryuichi decides to stick with the Babysitter organization. However, Yusei encourages him to at least examine the different organizations, so they take a walk to check them out, such as the drama organization, which the mother of Kirin is in charge of, the cooking organization, which Maria is a part of, and the baseball organization, which Taka's elder sibling plays for. While Ryuichi is posting a flyer for the babysitter organization, Kamatani approaches to ask if he can join. Surprised as ever, Ryuichi asks him why, and he goes on to explain that it's because his sibling Taka is there and also that Kota recruited him. The next day, Ryuichi wakes up feeling heavy and sick, so the principal takes Kotarou to stop the cold from spreading to him. She gives Ryuichi an extra blanket, and Kotarou helps her prepare food and medicine to make him better. He uses all his strength just to get one drop out of a lemon, which was a cuteness overload for Mei. After having recovered, Ryuichi returns to the nursery, and while changing Midori's diaper, he realizes there are no wipes to clean her with, and while he looks for some more, she crawls away. Just then, a boy opens the door and gets a bad first impression. He had gone to the organization to meet Midori, who apparently is to be his future daughter when he gets with her mother. Ryuichi thinks about it during class and is confused, as he thought Midori's mother was married. When he gets to the nursery, he meets the boy again. He tells Ryuichi that he wants to help Midori's mother since her husband was in heaven. When he was about to tell her his feelings, Midori starts to cry, and her mother tells her that her papa is returning from his trip today. When he finds out that he misunderstood Miss Sawatari, he says that when she wants to go out with her husband, he could take care of Midori, covering up that he was just about to confess his love for her. When Ryuichi was drying his clothes, Kotarou sees someone in the bushes and brings Ryuichi over to help him. It turns out to be Kichika, Nezukon's sibling, so Ryuichi decides to call Nezu, but realized that he didn't have his number, so he called Yugi instead, who came with Maria. It's discovered that Nezu works a job while still being in academy because he has a large family, and his little sibling reveals that he ran away because someone wouldn't buy him a game. Suddenly, his other young sibling pops out the bush too and calls Yugi a pervert. After talking, Ryuichi and Yugi heave them out of the bush. At that moment, Nezu appears with the game Kichika wanted and tells them they'd better thank Father and share it with the others. The following academy day, Ryuichi forgets his lunch, so Yusei lets Kotarou take it to him to see how he goes with his first extra errand. Yusei managed to convince the boy that is in love with Midori's mother to watch over Kotarou in exchange for a photo of her. On the other hand, Ryuichi's classmates offered to give him their lunch when they noticed he was missing his. While Kotarou climbs the stairs, he collides with a student and falls, dropping Ryuichi's lunch. But the student Yusei asked to watch over him saves the situation. He helps Kotarou to climb the rest of the stairs, and in the end he reaches Ryuichi's classroom. Kotarou gives him his lunch, however Ryuichi was already full from the food his classmates gave him, but he doesn't mention it as he didn't want to let Kotarou's efforts go to waste. So he picks him up to go and eat their lunch together. While talking to her friends, Yuki gets questioned about her feelings for Ryuichi. She blushes and tells them to be quiet. Then the girls start saying how attractive he is and that he has a great personality. They voiced their concerns about Maria and that she shouldn't be a problem as she only prioritizes her studies. But what the girls didn't know was that Maria was passing by and she heard everything. At that moment, Ryuichi comes and asks her if she needed anything. She dismisses him and snaps at the girls gossiping about her. While walking away, she contemplates her feelings for Ryuichi when Kirin and Kotarou approach. They ask if she will play with them. Maria states that this isn't a place to play and makes Kirin cry. She reveals that she doesn't go to the nursery to play with them because Ryuichi is there. Kirin asks if she hates him, and Maria says she doesn't. So Kirin asks if she likes him, and she says, "Certainly not," with a bright red face. Kirin then suggests they come up with a plan to make Maria like Ryuichi, blind to the fact that she already does. Maria goes along with the plan and follows them to Ryuichi's class. Kotarou goes in and cuddles Ryuichi to show he's accepting and loving. Maria says that he's a bit overindulgent, so Kirin says he can be strict too and goes in telling Ryuichi to hit her or she's going to be a bad girl. However, Kamatani hits her instead, and she jumps into Ryuichi's arms crying. Maria barges in and tells her that it's a misunderstanding and that she doesn't hate Ryuichi, so Kirin asks if she does actually like him. She goes red in the face again and storms off. Ryuichi rushes after her and grabs her by the arm, but instead of confessing his love for her, which we all wanted to see, he just tells her that she had a sticker on her skirt. The next day, Ryuichi finds a love letter in his locker and wonders who would have left it. Yuki sees him receive it, but tells her friend it wasn't her who left the letter. Meanwhile, Maria shows up and tells them to stop loitering where people are trying to leave. Then his classmate starts reading the letter. It was a confession of love for Ryuichi, which stated at the end, "a place to meet." The next morning, Ryuichi couldn't concentrate and spends the rest of the day thinking about what to do. At home, the principal thinks he might have a cold, as his face was red from blushing so much, and tells him to take a hot bath and go to sleep. When Ryuichi and Kotarou were on their way to academy, he was totally lost in thought from what to tell his secret lover. He loses Kotarou and runs into Maria and Yuki, who left early to find out who gave Ryuichi the love letter. They offered to help Ryuichi find Kotarou, but it turns out that he was found by Kamatani. We discovered that Kotarou wandered into someone's yard to bring Ryuichi a lemon, as he thinks he is sick and needs to get better, when really he's just been acting weird because a girl likes him. In the end, Ryuichi rejects the girl who sent him the letter because his priority was Kotarou. Meanwhile, Maria and Yuki were hidden in a bush listening to everything. Later, Kamatani and Taka invite Ryuichi and Kotarou to a festival. They arrive well-dressed for the occasion, while Kamatani was dressed casually. He bets Taka that he will lose his sword by the end of the day. Then they start walking. Taka finds a game he wants to play, which rewards a cool prize for winning, but it was clear that the game was arranged so that he loses. So Kamatani drags him away. They run into Usea, who was there working a part-time job that his neighbor asked him to do. At that moment, Taka realizes that he had lost his sword and bursts into tears. So they all start to search for it. The sword doesn't turn up, so Kamatani tells him that he can play the game he wanted if he decides not to search anymore. Taka accepts, and when Kotarou pulls one of the ropes, the same sword that he lost comes out. Kamatani grabs the dodgy worker, and as an apology he gave them the newest game system. Returning to the nursery routine, Kamatani had quarreled with his sibling for drawing a poop on his autographed baseball, but instead of hitting him like he usually does, he just completely ignores him. Outside, Ryuichi tries to talk to him, and explains that Kotarou had also destroyed some of his stuff too, but Kamatani explains that he wasn't angry about the ball, but that he doesn't understand what he did was wrong. On the other hand, the principal was giving Taka a lesson. She asks for the sword he treasures and pretends she's going to break it to show Taka what his sibling felt when he messed up his ball. And in the end, they both reconcile. The day of the Academy Festival had finally arrived, and for some reason, the nursery room also had to participate. The parents of all the youngsters are going to attend, and Kieran's father arrives. He asks where the hot babysitter girls are, and Usea plays a trick on him, introducing him to Kamatani and Ryuichi wearing wigs. He realizes that they are men and says that he doesn't feel comfortable leaving his daughter with male babysitters because he doesn't want his daughter's innocence stained. When he was just about to leave with his daughter, Ryuichi stops him. He seemed quickly to forget that Ryuichi was a boy, but when Midori pulls the wig and it falls off, he flips out and becomes even more determined to take his daughter from the nursery. Kamatani intervenes, and Kieran's father again mistakes him for a girl. At that moment, Midori's father arrives, guided by the boy who is in love with Midori's mother. All the parents share a moment and realize that their youngsters are growing up so fast. Suddenly, Kotarou's mother appears at the nursery and informs them there are some eggs due to hatch soon over in the science lab and asks if they would like to go and see them. The youngsters get excited and instantly make their way to the lab. However, the eggs are due to hatch the next day, which Taka's mom tried to tell them before they ran off excited. The following morning, Kotarou was excited to see the chicks. Taka's mom was there early and invites them in her classroom as the eggs were about to hatch. Ryuichi and Kotarou patiently wait by the incubator. And finally, the eggs hatch. Later on, all the other children come to see the chicks too, and Taka gets jealous because Kotarou had all the chicks, but Taka scares them away after shouting. Winter had come and Yusei calls in sick. He informs Ryuichi that it's probably because he slept naked after his bath, so he asks Siwa to take his place. That day, he didn't have the first clue what to do, but with the help of the youngsters, he learns to adapt with the situation, and everything went on to go well. Finally, Christmas had come, and Taka was excited for Santa, but Kamatani almost tells him that Santa doesn't exist. However, Ryuichi stopped him before he could finish. Ryuichi didn't have the money to buy a Santa costume, and his cell phone was malfunctioning, but thanks to his classmates, he manages to get a suit. When Ryuichi returns home, Siwa had a special dinner prepared, and informs them that the principal is unable to join them, as she has a very important meeting. And he can't either, since he has some work to finish. Ryuichi had planned to put on a Santa costume. His classmates helped prepare and give Kotarou his presents, as his dad used to do. But when he leaves to go and change, Kotarou would not leave him alone, following him all the way into the bathroom. At that moment, the doorbell rang, and Ryuichi, along with Kotarou, open it to find everyone had come together to surprise them. The principal gives Ryuichi a new cell phone since his old one had been malfunctioning, and so with everyone together, they celebrate Christmas Day. But before they start the festivities, the principal takes a moment to reflect on how much the boys have grown and how they've become an integral part of the Academy family. And that brings us to the end of this heartwarming journey, a story that reminded us how, even in the face of loss, life finds a way to bloom again through kindness, connection, and the quiet strength of those we love. If this story moved you like it did us, don't forget to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing your reflections, theories, and favorite moments. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to Otaku Flashback TV for more unforgettable anime stories that tug at the heartstrings and bring back all the feels. Thanks for spending time with us today. Until next time, keep your heart open, your memories close, and your anime watch list growing. This is Otaku Flashback TV, where every story is a journey and every flashback is worth reliving. See you in the next one.